Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is doing great. This is Scott Pearce, the Executive Director of the Premium Cigar Association. Come to you this Friday, a very wet Friday here in Washington, D.C. But anyway, I've got Greg Zimmerman, the brand new president of the Board of Directors for the Premium Cigar Association, joining me today for what is the first of what is going to be a regular occurrence for us now, which is the PCA Executive Update. Just to give everybody a little bit background on what this is and why we're doing it. Once a month, what we're going to do is bring myself and either Greg or another member of the executive committee on for Facebook Live discussion in order for us to be able to kind of go over what's been going on with the board, the executive committee, and the organization in the past month, talk about any current issues that are going on, and allow this as a format for the membership to engage, to ask us questions if there's anything going on, and allow us to freely communicate. If you were in attendance at the annual meeting during the trade show this year, hopefully you noticed a couple of changes. Obviously, we had the open elections, but we also had an open reporting session as well. And this is all part of our concerted effort. We've been listening to the membership for quite a few years and trying to make some changes. One of which is, a big sort of question and demand for the board to be more communicative with the membership, as well as to lean into some more transparency. And so this is one of the ways in which we are going to do this. Obviously, there'll be several more ways, but we wanted to be able to get this started once a month. Then today's Friday, but we'll probably do this on Wednesdays. We've heard from most of you all in our surveys that Wednesdays tend to be better days for you all in your shops. And so Wednesday mornings is most likely when we're going to start doing this every single month. So hopefully this becomes a regular thing where we can sit around and have a cigar and a coffee and have a good chat about what's going on with the organization. So with that introduction, Mr. Zimmerman, how are you? You look like you're coming from an undisclosed location in a bunker somewhere. How are you doing?
Good. I'm actually down in South Carolina for a few days, doing a little bit of some manual labor down here, constructing, doing some renovations on our property. So yeah.
Good stuff. Good. The manual labor keeps you honest, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's my background. So it's good to get back to it once in a while.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, just to echo what kind of what you were saying. This is kind of a format that we tried to set up at the trade show. You remember that, Scott, where we had the whole executive committee up on stage, and it's time for you guys to fire questions and concerns and any criticisms. Criticisms are always welcomed. Hopefully, in a context where they're constructive and fruitful and can lead to something. And by all means, if anybody out there that has a concern or sees something that they think that we could do a little bit better, please. I mean, this is completely a whole new transformation. This is open. This is everybody's pulling, helping to pull away. I see we're on Facebook Live here, so if anybody's listening live, which I'm sure there are quite a few, please, if you have any questions while I'm here, now would be the time to ask them over in the chat box, and I'll answer them as best as I can.
Perfect. So got a good morning from our brand new board member, Jay Davis, is tuning in. And Mike Toss and our good friend Mickey Peck from All Saints. This is great. Jay actually made a comment, and this is kind of one of the reasons why this is so important for us to be doing this. Is Jay made a comment. He's like, look, he said, he's like, I had a lot of criticisms as well. And he said, but a lot of times, and which is good, like you just said. And he said, but once he got into the board meeting, into the flow of the discussions, he said, man, this is crazy. He said, well, I didn't know a lot of this was going on. And he's like, the membership needs to know more about this. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to get on and to discuss some of these things. Today, we're going to kind of take an opportunity to do a little bit of a recap, some thoughts and ideas about the trade show, but then also talk about what's coming up over the next couple of months here, what we're looking at moving forward with PCA, because again, there's a lot of stuff that's on the horizon, a lot of important things that we're working on to lay the foundation in order for us to kind of do what we need to do, which is protect the industry, protect your stores, and protect the entirety of the premium cigar marketplace. So real quick, just as a brief recap, as I noted a little bit earlier, we did do something new at the trade show this year during the annual meeting, which is really kind of a lot more open. Greg mentioned the feedback session that we had. Well, one of the important things, and I wanted Greg to kind of talk about this a little bit, because this tends to be a topic of conversation. It had been a little bit more of a topic of conversation coming out with folks within the industry and on some of the blogs and podcasts, which is we did a treasurer's report this year. I don't know if that's ever been done before, but I don't think it's been done anytime in the past, probably decade or two. And really what the purpose with this is to say, look, it's your association, you're all members, you all wanted to kind of get everybody to see and look inside the books. And so I know it's been kind of a topic of conversation because for a lot of years, we've had boards that took their financial stewardship very seriously and were able to use the funds and from the trade show and build up a good war chest. And so within that, that set us up for in 2016 when the deeming rule came out and we decided that we were going to engage within these lawsuits. We had some money to go ahead and invest. Manufacturing partners had asked us to be a part of that, and we absolutely said yes. It's what's right for the industry. So if you kind of want to go from there, Greg, and kind of talk a little bit about that and talk about the investment that the then IPCPR and PCA decided to make both in the legal front in terms of the lawsuits. And just to be clear, too, the funding for the lawsuits is entirely separate and in addition to all of the operational costs that we undertake every single year to run the association, do all the lobbying and advocacy, all the membership programs, as well as the trade show. So if you kind of want to go and take it from there, Greg, about what we decided to do for the investment for the lawsuits and what that investment ended up being on top of all the lobbying costs that we incur every year as well.
Yeah. During my tenure, just kind of to go back to a couple of the comments you made, this was, I think, definitely the first year where the full books were open for all to see. I just wanted to just digress just for a second, and I'll come right back to your point. But I even when I was talking about constructive criticism, this is an example of how it shouldn't go. I had heard, and I didn't hear it firsthand, so I won't go into who was, but I heard secondhand that somebody had questioned the finances of the PCA and where did all the money go? While that person sat on the board, I think the quote was, "We had lots of money," but apparently that person wasn't in the meeting. Was that Sunday morning or Saturday morning? We had the annual meeting where the books were fully open. As you mentioned, we've been involved in this lawsuit now for probably, 6 years, I think. Yeah, I think 6 years. And we directly paid our litigation attorney upwards of $4 million through this association. So that's number one. Number two, we took a $2.5 million hit for missing the trade show last year because of the pandemic. And we still have that sizable, maybe I don't recall what we had when that particular person was sitting on the board, what the total assets were, but I can tell you that we still have a substantial war chest to continue the fight. We had to regroup because of COVID. We had to furlough some employees and then bring some back slowly. Hopefully we can get back to a full complement of employees during my tenure as president. But this organization has definitely, this is the first time that we're fully transparent. The first time, as you mentioned, that we elected 3 new board members where the actual membership proposed the member and then voted on that person. In fact, out of the 3 new board members, I didn't know 2 of them completely. I'd never met them before, and Jay and Todd. And I look forward to working with both. I think Jay has already been a shining light and been able to contribute, and I look forward to Todd. Mary Zarmak was the 3rd who I've worked with on a state level in Colorado. She is very active on the state politics side. She runs their government relations program. Now I did digress, and I forgot where we were. You asked about the.
No, you answered that perfectly, because again, that takes in. I mean, look, if you take into that consideration, that's an additional $4 million outside of regular operating costs that we've spent on lawsuits.
Yeah, and that's not to mention that that was $4 million just to our litigation attorney. There was other consultation that we had to go through that cost money, plus
the research, the reports, exactly.
All the board meetings that we had. I can't even tell you how many times I had to fly to DC or not fly to DC. I drove, but there were other board members that had to fly, to conduct these meetings with our litigation attorneys. So it's probably a number closer to $5 million that this association has paid. And I know the other part now. It came back to me. And what it resulted, we had 2 monumental wins. We had the warnings label, which was originally filed in Texas, which the PCA fully financed. Then it was moved to DC. Otherwise, our humidors would look like billboards, as I said in the letter, for the FDA. There have been warnings at the POS. There have been warnings all over the ornate boxes. And then obviously our manufacturing partners not to have to deal with the compliance of SE right now. That has been suspended indefinitely. Hopefully we can, solidify that and make that permanent as well. So that's saving them millions of dollars and keeping the cigar costs at their current level. So that's how significant that was. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's kind of one of the things that you did in the letters that you addressed out for membership is kind of covering that. I mean, look, that's a $6.5 million, $7 million swing. That was unexpected, right? And that's the reason why you have the coffers there in order to do that. Now, we still do have some that are there. We're still financially stable as far as that's concerned. And the whole point there is that we need to be financially stable so that we can now start mounting our offensive as we've been kind of building up for it in the States. And we kind of went through the impact report there at the trade show for how we've been successful in battling a lot of these tax increases, the flavor bans, smoking bans, getting lounges open in places like Michigan and Maryland, and working very closely with the state associations. And that's something that is on the horizon. One thing that's also on the horizon, again, we don't want to rest on our laurels, but real quick, just as a recap, I think you and I both personally, I don't want to speak for you, but I know that this is a sentiment that we share, is to thank everybody for their participation in the trade show this year. This was it's a crazy topsy-turvy. We got approval April 6th from the governor's office to actually hold our show. So in that condensed amount of time to try to put this trade show on, the faith in the show from the exhibitor side of things, and also for all of the retail members who showed up ready to do business. I got more comments this year from exhibitors about how great the interactions with the retailers were in the booth. To an exhibitor, and how every single one was there. They were there. They were interested. To all the manufacturers that did show specials, and it just all felt really good to be back. And you made a great point, and I just kind of want to call this out as well in the spirit of us engaging folks to get better. We absolutely know that the trade show this year was unlike any other trade show. There were a lot of flaws. There were a lot of things that, quite frankly, we know fell through the cracks because we were really trying to juggle, 10 different balls with one hand tied behind our back this year. Not an excuse, but just kind of trying to give people a little bit of perspective that we are aware that there's a lot of things that we want to fix going forward to next year. But at the end of the day, we put on a trade show, and then about 2 weeks later, Vegas started to close down again. Travel started to get restricted again. So, we really got lucky. We really kind of split the uprights in terms of the timing, and people came out, and it was a lot of fun to be back together. And so I think that in that sense, number one, to me, it shows the resiliency that this family has of the cigar industry in order to persevere, even through questionable and strange times. But that also, for me, really kind of invigorates moving forward now as we are going into some new directions. On that note, one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, this is very important that we wanted to talk about, is we are getting the board together to go through a really deep dive on a strategic planning session for where we go from here. We do know we are back at the Sands Venetian next year. We do have in the contract there for 2 more years. We are back there. They actually did work with us quite well this year, even painstakingly, but quite well. So we've got a good partner to do the show that way. But we do recognize times are a-changing, as our good friend Bob Dylan has said, and that we really need to start looking at where we're going to be. And so if you want to take a few minutes, Greg, and maybe just kind of comment on sort of what we're looking at for the strategic planning session and kind of what it's going to be and why.
Yeah, this will again will be a first for this association and this board as a whole. We tried a few years back in Vegas in 2-hour board meeting to try to do like a SWOT analysis. So kind of a micro or mini, full strategic planning session. This time we're going to hopefully be able to get all 15 members in a room, everybody with no laptops, cell phones, and be able to sit down and hammer this out and actually define a very clear path for this association to go forward. And hopefully we can take it to the coming out of this strategic planning session. By the way, we have a great facilitator in that. This guy has done it at the highest level in the military and for major corporations, and we should also invest that same kind of energy and time into this association to make sure that we're doing things right. To your point on the trade show, there's so many people to thank, and it was truly unbelievable that you mentioned it. I think April 6th or somewhere around there is when we finally got the approval to move forward. And even it was day to day, and it was week to week. There was changes being made, and 30 days out, we still didn't even realize that we could be able to smoke other than the trade show floor, which was definitely laid in. So 30 days out, we're like, okay, well, let's get a smoking lounge. We don't care what it looks like. It's have somewhere where the guy can congregate, and really that's all we need. And we know that it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't a burn or one of the high end lounges. One of Rocky's lounge or something, or any Davidoff lounge. It was just for a place for people, and we didn't really need it because we were kind of a little bit more open to smoke in other areas. So. With I'm trying to think, Lisa and Josh, Glenn Loop, there's Monica, there's Kara, Ryan,
Colleen, Aaron.
Colleen, Aaron. Yeah, that phenomenal job to be able to put all this stuff together. So again, with this strategic planning session coming up, hopefully that there's a clear and more distinct path to where we need to be, and to put on a better product. I think next year we'll have a little bit more, hopefully, behind us. Hopefully these variants get under control. People get their third vaccine, and we can be out
fourth
in Vegas.
And fifth and sixth.
yeah, maybe. We go through the whole Greek alphabet. We have 2 more years in Vegas, and then the future is wide open for us. The possibilities are limitless. We have so many options moving forward. It might be in Vegas. It might be regional shows. It might be fairgrounds. I mean, we're talking about everything. So that's what. Hopefully, we can come out of this and have some idea of where we're going to move forward. And we look forward for any suggestions that people have. Please. You guys have my email, or if you don't, we can certainly get it to you. Just contact somebody at the show or at the PCA headquarters, and we're all available to answer any questions that we can.
Yeah,
and take any suggestions. Yeah,
exactly. I was just going to say, two notes on that. The board is going to be getting together, so if you know any of the current board members, or even just some of the past ones that can contact us, talk to them. Let them know what your concerns, your thoughts, your ideas, whatever the case may be as they come in, because that's all going to inform and help us set the stage and the foundation for the strategic planning session. The follow-up to that is, we've kind of had some starts and stops based upon circumstances and pandemics with the committees. And that's another thing that we've been working on is to get these committees open up to the membership at large for participation, so that way the actual work that's kind of done within this isn't, just solely squarely on small group of board of directors, but really by volunteer members here. And so as coming out of the strategic planning session, those committees will have specific mission statements. They will have statements of work and leadership within those committees. And we're going to want to go ahead, and if you've ever sent any interest in, I have the spreadsheets of everybody that's ever sent any interest in, all the way back from when we started this right at the end of 2019 going into 2020. We'll be reaching back out to see if you all still have interest in participating. So we've got your names, we've got all that. We will be reaching out to kind of get that set. We want to make sure we have the infrastructure set up rather than just kind of, ad hoc trying to pin people into committees and seeing what happens. We really want to have a good statement of work for the year, so people know if they really want to get engaged in the type of work that has been discussed that we want to do in the committees, that you're all in for it, because we really do need everybody rowing in the right direction here. We're too small of an industry to not be all together in this, especially for so much of what we're facing right now. And one of the big challenges that Greg mentioned is we've got a time frame, a window right now for us as an industry to step up, come together, and truly define how we're going to go forward in our regulatory approach. We got the SE victory, which essentially says the FDA needs to study it more. We've been working very closely, not as close as we'd like, but National Academy of Sciences has been designated by the FDA to research the premium cigar topic. And so while this is going on, we're doing our best to be able to educate them appropriately. Because again, by and large, most people that are in charge of regulating this industry do not understand this industry. It's easy for them to understand why, beer and liquor are regulated differently. They don't understand the differences within the cigar world, the cigars, mass market versus premium, et cetera. So we're doing our best to educate on that end. But at the end of the day, really, ultimately, the industry needs to be able to come together to define our path forward. And that's going to be our best chance at success. And so that's going to be a big part of this strategic planning session is just that, is this association, our mission, how we're moving forward, how we're going to get there. And really, ultimately, I think it's a good time. I'm really excited for this, but I think a lot of people in the industry are really amped up to get involved. And that's going to be our plan, is to figure out ways and pathways for everybody to get involved, because that's what it's going to take. We all need to invest in the defense and the advocacy for our industry. And so that's one of the prime movers for the strategic planning session. So my request is, call me, email me, reach out to any of the board members that you may have relationships with, as open and as honest as you want to be about anything, and what you believe needs to be at the top of the mind for board members. We've gotten surveys back, so we have a lot of that, but sometimes it's just easier having a conversation where good stuff can kind of come to light too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well,
do we have any questions? Is anybody live? We
got quite a few people, mostly just people saying hi and good morning, and lots of folks saying good morning. So appreciate everybody kind of tuning in. This is our
there. Now I see it.
Yeah, you can see it on the side. It's
Luciano's there.
Yeah.
Hey, Luciano, Dave, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Yeah, good.
Yeah. So I think if Mickey is in fact in the local DMV area right now, he's getting deluged as well. I'm going to start building a boat here in just a little bit. It's been so wet here. Anyway, so appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, we are going to be doing these once a month. It'll be myself, majority of the time with Greg, and potentially some other board and or executive committee members, kind of diving into what's going on. Once we come out of that strategic planning session, which will probably take place in the next 6 weeks or so, then I think that really ultimately we're going to have an opportunity to kind of put this out on a more regular basis, dive into what's been going on and some of the other things too. I'm really looking forward to doing these every month now and finding new ways to engage with the membership.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody.
Speaking with everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Greg, and thanks everybody else. Have a great weekend. Take care.
See you guys.
Yes, Mickey, I'm smoking a cigar right now and staying dry. Thank you.